Let's talk about some books I read this month. I'm Ashley. This is my channel, Ashley versus the Bookish Agenda, and this is my June wrap up. For the month of June, it was kind of crazy. I was in a reading slump, I was fighting it. So, I'm only going to be talking about 4 books with you today. One of those is my very first DNF of the year. So, I'm going to start with that one, and that would be Geek Areolar by Ashley Poston. Let me get to the side so I can show you the cover. And I did not connect with the story. I did not connect with the relationship. The only relationship I liked is the side one that happens towards the end. Even the use of the text messages back and forth, the multimedia, which is usually something that I like. I just couldn't get into the story. It was so disappointing because I hyped it up, but this book is a Cinderella retelling. It's a love letter to fandoms and geek culture. And since I fit into that, I thought that I'd like it. Unfortunately, I didn't. So, next, I'm going to talk about the only book I read from my Pride TBR, which I did at the beginning of June. And if you would like to see that, I'm going to have it linked in the cards, and that is No Holding Back by Kate Evangelista. It tells the story of Nathan, who's in love with his best friend Preston, and everyone knows this but Preston. And Preston gets accepted into this prestigious swim institute that's going to guarantee him a spot on the Olympics, and Nathan knows that it's now or never. He must tell Preston how he feels, regardless of whether or not it will ruin their relationship. This is the second book in a companion trilogy, and they are all short, so if you want to read them like straight through, you could probably read them all in one day. I just loved it. Quintessential beach read. Looking for something that you don't have to think a lot, but you get your romance. This is the book for you. Next, I have, let me get to my notes, 99 Days by Katie Cotugno. This is a story about a girl who was caught between two brothers. Something happened. A year later, if I'm not mistaken, she comes back home after being ostracized from the community. She's been made the villain, and she's still caught between these two brothers. And this book I thought was going to be my guilty pleasure read. I thought I was going to love it. I was a chunk of the way through. I'm like, this is going to be a 4-star read because it has some problems to it. But I just enjoyed it so much. But no, it so flopped. And I have a rant review, which I will also put in the cards if you would like to hear my thoughts on it. I do not recommend this book. I gave it 2 stars because I did get 70% of the way through, and I said that was enough to count it read. And my last book was my favorite book of the month, and that was The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. I'm so glad that I read this book. Initially, I wasn't going to because I was not a fan of everything, but this book was just leaps and bounds better. It blew me away. It tells the story of Natasha, who is very scientific, and she's an undocumented Jamaican immigrant, and she is getting ready to be deported in like 7 hours or something. And she meets Daniel, who is all about poetry. He wants to be a poet when he grows up, and he believes in love at first sight and all those things. And so he puts up the challenge that he can make her fall in love with him in the short amount of time that they have together. And I just loved everything about this book. I love that I learned stuff because there was scientific stuff from Natasha's end that I did not know. I also loved how it read like a movie. It was very cinematic, and that we got side stories of like characters that we met throughout the book, like the woman who checked her purse before she went into the immigration office, or the security guard that was in the building where her immigration lawyer was, her parents, Daniel's brother. I just love that we got so many different perspectives And the ending, of course, broke my heart because you knew how it was going to end from the start, but it still hit you like a ton of bricks when you got there. And I wish we could get a part two to see what happens with Daniel and Natasha, because the ending kind of left it like there could be more story. But I'm happy with what we got, and I recommend everyone go out and read this book if you have not. So that is all for my wrap up for the month of June. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please follow me on all of my social medias, which will be linked in the description down below. And I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers before the end of the year. So please hit that red button and leave a check mark. And as always, until we meet again.